30 minutes that will make you emotionally unbreakable the Stoic way. In the bustling port city of Athens around 320 BC, a young merchant named Cassius lived a life many envied. His ships brought goods from distant lands, ivory, spices, silk, and wealth flowed into his hands like an endless river. One summer morning, however, a storm swallowed his fleet whole. By nightfall, Cassius, once rich beyond imagination, stood with nothing but the clothes on his back. Imagine that happening to you. Everything you've built, every ounce of security you thought you had, wiped away by forces you can't control. Would you despair? Would you rage at the injustice? Most people would. Most would drown in sorrow, blaming life, fate, or even themselves. But Cassius didn't. Instead, he smiled, turned to the ruined harbor, and said, "Fortune has freed me from my burdens. Now, I am truly light." This mindset, this remarkable resilience, would later fuel an entire school of thought, Stoicism. It's easy to underestimate how small shifts in thinking can shape an entire life. Tiny mental pivots, like tiny rudders, steer the course of vast ships. One thought, one new perspective, can echo across centuries. At its core, Stoicism is not about suppressing feelings or pretending we are made of stone. It's about learning to live well, even when the world doesn't play fair. Cassius, like the legendary Stoics who would follow him, discovered a truth many never realize: we don't control much. We can't command the weather. We can't force people to treat us kindly. We can't guarantee our success, our health, or even tomorrow. But what we can control, what is entirely ours, is our reaction. Inspired by thinkers like Socrates and later, Cleanthes, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, the early Stoics taught that real freedom doesn't come from wealth, power, or fame. It comes from mastering your own mind. In the ancient world, Stoicism wasn't reserved for ivory towers or royal courts. The great philosophers didn't lecture behind closed gates. They gathered in the open marketplaces, in the stoes, the covered porches, where everyday life buzzed around them. Stoicism was for the butcher, the seamstress, the soldier, and the king. It was philosophy for everyone. And so, Stoicism spread, not because it was exclusive, but because it was universal. Some of its most famous students came from wildly different walks of life. Epictetus, once a slave, limped through life on a crippled leg, teaching wisdom to emperors. Seneca, a wealthy statesman, advised the most powerful men in Rome. And Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, ruled an empire while scribbling private reflections about humility and endurance. They practiced what they preached. The Stoics believed that virtue wasn't a luxury good. It wasn't about your gender, your birthplace, your wealth, or your job. It was about how you lived your life, day by day, choice by choice. They even coined a word we still use today, cosmopolitan, a citizen of the world. Today, we think of cosmopolitan cities like Paris, Tokyo, and New York, buzzing with diversity. But to the Stoics, being a cosmopolitan meant recognizing that we are all part of one grand family. Borders, races, classes, none of them mattered in the eyes of virtue. Even centuries ago, Stoics pushed against prejudice. Musonius Rufus, a fierce Stoic teacher, declared that women should study philosophy alongside men. He said, "Virtue knows no gender." In a society that often silenced women, Stoicism stood for inclusion. Anyone, anywhere, could live a wise and meaningful life. So, why is Stoicism still relevant? Why, thousands of years later, are millions still drawn to it? Because life is still unpredictable. Because loss, failure, betrayal, sickness, they're all part of being human. And most importantly, because our emotions, left unchecked, can easily ruin us. Think about it, we don't really get upset because something bad happens. We get upset because something unexpected happens. You expect sunshine, and a storm ruins your picnic. You expect loyalty, and a friend betrays you. If we expected storms and betrayal as part of life's natural order, we would be less shattered when they arrive. And so, the Stoic trains their mind the way a warrior trains their body. Prepared for every assault, every hardship. One exercise the Stoics practiced was called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They would intentionally imagine worst-case scenarios, losing their fortune, losing loved ones, facing exile or disease. Why? Not to wallow in fear, but to strengthen their minds. To walk into life with open eyes and steady hearts. Another practice was voluntary discomfort. Choosing to experience small hardships on purpose. Sleeping on the floor. Wearing simple clothes. Eating plain food. Not to punish themselves, but to remind themselves, I can survive without luxury. I am stronger than I think. In a world of constant advertising, endless scrolling, and pressure to have more and be more, this lesson is more vital than ever. We are taught to chase validation from others, likes, followers, promotions. But each external achievement is a moving target. No matter how much you grasp, it always slips further away. The Stoics urge us to turn inward. Ask yourself, am I living by my values? Am I acting with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation? If the answer is yes, then success is already yours, regardless of what the outside world says. Otherwise, we become trapped in an endless loop. We get a promotion, but it's not enough. We buy a bigger house, but feel empty inside. We gain followers, but crave more. It's a thirst that can never be quenched. Seneca warned that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Real wealth isn't about accumulation. It's about needing less. Consider this: the more you own, the more you fear losing it. The simpler your needs, the freer your soul. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, arguably their most important teaching. Simply put, there are things we can control, and things we cannot. Freedom comes from focusing only on the former, and letting go of the latter. Epictetus put it plainly: some things are up to us, and some things are not. Your opinions, your actions, your effort, these are yours to command. The weather, the economy, the opinions of others, these are not. Imagine a YouTuber pouring their heart into a video. They script it, film it, edit it, polish every frame. But once it's uploaded, the views, the comments, the algorithm, all of it, is out of their hands. If they measure success only by views, they suffer. If they measure success by effort and intention, they win, every time. This mindset shift is life-changing. Trust the process. Detach from the outcome. Do your best, and let go. There's a beautiful freedom in knowing you've done all you can. Picture an archer. He pulls back the bow, aims carefully, releases the arrow. At that moment, wind could gust, the target could move, a bird could fly across the path. He controls the shot, not the result. That's Stoicism. Now, the Stoics also taught about the four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, temperance, justice. Wisdom, knowing what is in your control and acting accordingly. Courage, facing hardship and fear without retreating. Temperance, practicing moderation, balance, and restraint. Justice, treating others with fairness and kindness, remembering that we are all connected. Of these, justice was considered the highest. Because we do not live alone. Every action ripples outward, touching lives we may never even see. Think of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison for standing against apartheid. He had every reason to emerge bitter, vengeful. But he chose forgiveness. He chose rebuilding over revenge. Throughout his long imprisonment, Mandela studied Stoic philosophy, including Marcus Aurelius' meditations. He understood, he could not change the past. He could only shape the future, with wisdom, courage, and justice. Today, Stoic principles underpin many modern therapies, like cognitive behavioral therapy and logotherapy. CBT helps people recognize irrational thoughts and reframe them, a Stoic habit. Logotherapy encourages finding meaning even in suffering, another Stoic ideal. These practices remind us, we are not powerless. We are not victims of fate. We are architects of meaning. But change isn't easy. It takes practice. It takes patience. We have to gently untangle old mental habits and replace them with healthier ones. Little by little, thought by thought. Because at the end of the day, the greatest power we have is not over the world, but over our own hearts and minds. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So, when life storms around you, remember, you are not the storm. You are the sailor. And Stoicism, that ancient, enduring wisdom, is the map to help you navigate through.